In the Visual Basic Editor, you can create something called a user form. User forms are a great interface that users can interact with rather than dealing directly with a spreadsheet or a particular sheet. I've opened up a file called People and I've saved it as Chapter 18. In the one sheet 1 is a list of data going from A1 to E14. What I'd like to do is create a form that people interact with, which ultimately puts the data in this list, so they don't work directly with this list. In order to create this user form, there's a couple of things I need to let you know. First of all, in the cell A1, if I click it, I've actually named the cell A1 Start Cell. In the sheet 2, I've created two lists. I've created a list of people in column A and a list of regions in column B. I've named this range here People and I've named this range here Regions. So there's three things that have been named: Regions, People and Start Cell. Let's go back to sheet 1. In order to create the user form, I'm going to go to the Visual Basic Editor. I'm then going to go to Insert and choose User Form. Though you can just as easily hit this drop down here and choose User Form here. Immediately, this is what I see. And when I click on the user form, I should see what they call a toolbox. The toolbox has a number of controls that we're going to use, and you can see the word controls there. If you don't see your toolbox when you click on your user form, you may have to go to View and actually turn on the toolbox. Now let's move the toolbox over here. I'm just going to resize the form by dragging the bottom right corner. So you can make these forms as large or as small as you wish. So I'm going to give myself a lot of room to move. I'm actually going to bring up the Properties windows as well, either by going to View and choosing Properties window or pressing the key F4. And I'll get it to share this half of the screen nicely with the Project Explorer. When I click on the user form, the toolbox reappears and I'll position that there. So I've pretty much now got all the elements I need. I've got my user form, my toolbox, my properties window, and my Project Explorer. Using my properties window, the first thing I want to do is I actually want to name this form, something a little bit friendlier than user form 1. So I'll click on the name property, take out user form 1, and I'll name this form FRM Sales, and enter. The effect of that is you can see the Forms folder in the Project Explorer has one form now named FRM Sales instead of User Form 1. You may be concerned that you're still seeing User Form 1 up the top here. The name is not what's shown at the top of the form. The name is literally the name of that object. If you want to control what you see at the top of this form, that's what they call a caption, and that's over here in the properties. So I could take out user form 1 out of the caption and I could say that I wanted to call this data entry. And you can see as I'm typing and when I press enter, that's what you see at the top here. Oops, not date entry, data entry. And there's data entry at the top. So you could call it whatever you wanted it to be. So we've given our form a name and a caption. Now I want to add some controls. The controls I want to start with are labels, and the label control looks like a capital A, so I'm going to click that. I'm then going to click at the top here, about there, it's very visual, and I'm going to give it the caption, date, and enter. I then need another label, person, region, and actual value. I could create each one at a time, or you could click on the edge of this particular control and go Control C and Control V to paste, and then I'll move it into place. So it's up to you. You can copy and paste. You can change the caption, or you could actually directly edit it here. So there's a variety of ways. I'm going to call this person. I'm then going to go Control V to paste, move it into place, and I'll click on it until I can edit it and call it region. And one more, Control V to paste, put it roughly in place, use the dots to help you, take out the word date and put actual value. So those are my labels. They're purely descriptive text, and you can create as many labels as you wish. The next thing I'd like to add are text boxes. The text box control is in this particular toolbox, and it looks like a square with an AB line in it. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click just to the right of date. I'm then going to go into the properties and give that particular control the name TXT actual. Enter. We don't tend to give names to labels because we don't really do anything with labels. They just sit there and provide descriptive text. But we do things with text boxes, so we do tend to name them, and we've done so. I'd like to create another text box, and I might just copy and paste this one, Control C, Control V, and this one's actually going to be for person. Actually no, it'll be for actual value. So I'll click here, and I'll name this one. I've actually named that one the wrong one. Let's click back on this one. This should be TXT date. Sorry. And this one, enter, should be TXT actual. Alright, I could make this perfect, but it's important to understand how to fix things and change things because that's the reality. So we have 4 labels. We have a text box here. When I click on it, it's called TXT date and it goes with the date label. We have another text box here. This is called TXT actual in the properties, and that goes with the actual value label. So I'm happy. That's what I need at this stage. So we've got 4 labels and 2 text boxes. Now what I'd like to do is create some combo boxes. Combo boxes are drop-down boxes. So I'm going to go to my controls, and the combo box looks like this one here. You have to really rest on them and wait for the little tooltip to tell you what they are. I'll click the combo box, and I'll click about here to the right of person. And I want to name that using the name property CBO, short for combo, person. Enter. I could create another one or just copy and paste, whatever you feel is easiest, and just click here, and this one's going to be named CBO region. Alright, so 2 combo boxes, 2 text boxes, and 4 labels. I might get a little bit concerned about how things are lining up, so I could actually select or drag to select these 2, right click and align those 2 to the tops. I could select these 2, right click, align tops. Select these 2, right click, align tops, and select these 2, right click, align tops. So you've got various alignment options as well. I might select these 4 and right click and align lefts, which is an interesting choice of words. There you are there. So those are those controls. Now I want to add another type of control, which is a frame. If I look in my controls, the frame looks like this. It's got a little XY at the top. And I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click about here. And there's my frame 1. What I'd like to do is edit this frame because it needs to have a title or a caption that says title. So with that frame selected, I'm going to go into the properties, find the caption property, edit it to say title. And you can then see title appearing at the top here. And so that's the caption. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to add some option buttons inside of this frame. Now why we put option buttons inside of a frame is because then they can only choose one. If the option buttons were outside of the frame, they could choose as many as they wanted. I only want them to choose one option. So I'm going to go back to my controls, and this little button here is your option button. I'll click that, and I'll click inside of my frame. I'll then go to my caption and take out option button 1 and give it the caption owner. But I'll give it the name opt owner. So the caption is what the user sees, that's the label sort of thing, and that's its actual name is opt owner. And I can move it a little bit. I'll grab another option button. I'll give it the name opt, And this one's not owner, this is rep. And the caption is rep. I'll then grab another option button, click in the frame, and this one is to be called opt admin, and the caption admin. And then line things up as best as you can. So I'm going to lasso around these, I'm going to right click and align to the lefts, and that's pretty much it. You can resize these particular objects or controls, and I'll bring them in a little bit. And I may actually move that whole thing in closer, so it's completely up to you visually. Now I'd like to add some more controls, and these are command buttons. Looking in my toolbox, the command button is this little one here with an AB and a rounded edged rectangle. I'll click that, I'll click on my form about so, and I'm actually going to add another one, so I'll click it again and click about so. This particular button here, I'll give it the name CMD, OK, short for command button, and I'll give it the caption OK. This button here, I'll give it the name CMD, cancel, and the caption cancel. Alright, so those are my command buttons done as well. And I might save so I don't lose anything. Now the whole idea now is I'll just resize my form, given that I've clearly got everything I need. And if I want to see how my form looks, I can press the key F5. Pressing the key F5 typically would run a sub-procedure, but in the case of the user form, it'll actually let you see the user form. And so here we have our data entry user form with 4 labels, a text box, a combo box, a combo box, a text box, a frame, 3 option buttons and 2 command buttons. Now I want to just press the tab key and just check that when the user presses tab, it logically moves through the objects. And it doesn't. Because of the order that I added them, which was on purpose, I go from date to actual value to person to region to owner to rep, admin, OK and cancel. Let's close the form and fix the tab order. To fix the tab order, go to View and go to Tab Order. And here's your objects here. I'm not worried about the labels. In fact, they can be moved down because we don't actually move to labels. I don't really know why they even bother listing them, but they do. So let's get them out of the picture by moving them out of the way. Alright, so in terms of tab order, it goes to the date first, then I want it to go to the person, so I'll move that up, then I want it to go to the region, so I'll move that up, then I want it to go to the actual value, then I want to go to the frame, and then OK and then cancel. And I'll click OK. Now if I press the key F5 and I press the tab key, I'll move from date to person to region to value, owner, rep, admin, OK, cancel. Perfect. That's the tab order I wanted. So I'll close. And I'll save what I've done so far. That's the user form and the controls made.